If you've submitted a track or a few tracks to a library and it's been maybe a couple of weeks or maybe even a couple of months and you're not seeing that track show up in your online account, let's say your BMI or ASCAP account or whatever your PRO is, what is a reasonable timeline that you should be thinking about hitting up your library, asking them what's going on, what should you reasonably expect in this industry? Well, unfortunately, the registration process is probably one of the worst parts about the sync licensing industry. I will tell you, because I've dealt with it personally so many times, where not only things just take months and months and months to show up in my account, but sometimes the wrong writer gets credited for my songs, or other writers accidentally, it shows up as I'm the writer, so they have to go through and like fix all that kind of stuff. So the registration process, unfortunately, can be one of the worst things about this business, which is why it's so important for you guys to stay vigilant about checking up on your registrations, going into your accounts periodically, probably once a month, and making sure that the tracks that you have that are out there for a library are showing up in your account, okay? So here's what I will say. It usually takes, like, this is, a usual amount. It can be longer, it can be shorter, right? But in my experience, 2 weeks to a month, sometimes maybe 2 months. I would say basically 2 weeks to 2 months. That is the usual timeline that it will take for your tracks to show up in your BMI or ASCAP or whatever PR account that you have, okay? So if you submitted, let's say, a full album to a library and it's been 2 months and you haven't seen anything, there's nothing showing up in your account, you're a little bit worried that maybe your tracks have not been registered, or there's just sitting in some sort of to-do list in your library's catalog, and you need to make sure that it's going to get registered. What I would recommend first is not jump to conclusions, not jump to assumptions and think, oh, they're screwing me. Oh, they gave it to some other writer. Oh, they've totally forgot about me. Every library has their own process. Now, some libraries, they will batch all of their registration songs. So in other words, just because you sent them 10 tracks, that doesn't mean it immediately goes to their, okay, we need to immediately register these, put them up in our account and throw them up into the PRO's database with our publishing company attached to it. Some companies and a lot of libraries, what they'll do is they'll batch a large group of tracks. Let's say they're doing 5 or 10 albums in the month from various writers. Well, at the end of the month, they'll take all of those tracks and have a sort of batch upload process. Unfortunately, a lot of libraries give this task to interns and sometimes just sort of like minimum wage day employees. And we all know that people make mistakes, and somebody who just thinks of this as like, it's just my day job, I don't really care, can be careless, they can make mistakes, it happens, okay? So what I would do first and foremost is, when you're first establishing your relationship with the library, ask them this point blank question. What is your registration process? How long does it usually take? What can I reasonably expect? Get your expectations right with that library before you even start working with them on an ongoing basis, so that oh, okay, it takes them about a month and a half for it to show up. So if it's been a month and you don't see the tracks, you don't start panicking. They've already told me it takes about a month and a half. If they've told you a month and a half and it's been a month and a half, send them a very polite email and just ask them, hey guys, just checked my account, haven't seen anything pop up. Where are we in the registration process? That's basically the golden phrase you should be doing. It should be not, what the hell's going on? Why? I'm really worried about this. Where are my tracks? And kind of giving them all that sort of negative pressure, right? Because it might be something where, again, they're waiting for a larger group of tracks to get accepted before they batch upload. And if you're coming to them with this paranoia and this crazy intensity, it could put some distance between you and them, right? And you certainly don't want to do that, especially if there's nothing nefarious going on. And chances are nothing nefarious is going on. It's just something you're not aware of how their process works. So just ask them in a nice way, in a nice fashion. Just say, where are we with the registration process? And if you don't know what their actual ongoing registration process is, ask them. Say, maybe I was a little bit confused. I thought these would be showing up a little bit sooner. Let me know how it works on your end so that I can have realistic expectations for what's going on. Now, of course, if you reach out to them and they say, yeah, we'll get to it, don't worry about it, and then another 2 weeks and another month and another 2 months go by and you're still not seeing it and they're still not giving you any reasonable explanation as to what's going on, you jump out of that ship immediately, okay? That should not be a library that you continuously send music to, obviously, because something's wrong. They're not showing you the tracks show up in their catalog, and they're not giving you a reasonable expectation or showing any sort of actual process for how to get your tracks up there. Also, if you send them an email like this and it takes them more than a week or 2 weeks to get back to you with an explanation, another potential red flag. This is a really important thing, and they know how important it is to get tracks registered, because if a track's not registered, guess who else isn't making music? They aren't, right? Libraries have to have tracks registered for their publishing company to earn any income. So they have a vested interest in this. So they should be showing you fairly quickly, that they're really serious about that concern of yours and that they're doing something to remedy it, or at least to clarify for you what their process is.